That's what the big three has done tonight. Minnesota beat Sacramento 3 of their 4 meetings, and as Doug just said, twice in this building. But the Kings, remember, have the second best home record in the NBA in the regular year. They have not lost a playoff game this year, beating Dallas 3 times. And the Timberwolves have the #1 road record at 27-14 in the NBA's regular year.
I still believe it. You look at Stojakovic and Weber's numbers. Sacramento can win with them having a bad shooting night. They did that in game 1. Those guys combined to shoot 11 of 31. Mike Bibby had the big game at 33. He only has 4 shots. He was 4 of 17 in game 2. They need him to come out and be very, very aggressive.
And Doug, again, you always pay attention to closing out quarters for both teams. In Minnesota, 24-11 so far through the first half. It's Sprewell, Cassell, Garnett, Johnson with 3 fouls, and Hassel out there for Minnesota beginning the third quarter. Kevin Garnett from the field is 4 of 11. Christie with the rebound with Bibby, Divac, Stojakovic, and Chris Webber.
Let's see if they try to get Mike Bibby here a shot early to start this game, this third period.
It's Webber and a late arriving Irvin Johnson with a rebound inside by Latrell Sprewell, who has started the game from the floor 3 of 12 with 9 points. Garnett's 10, leading all scorers.
You can see Bibby back to guarding Cassell, so he's going to try to go right in the low post against him.
Cassell, short. Minnesota led by 4 at the end of the first quarter, and we were tied, of course, at halftime at 46, where we stand right now. Knocked away by Sprewell or Johnson. Here comes Sam Cassell, who had a career-high 20 points per game in the regular season. 34-year-old Cassell, and a rebound by Divac, who we think is 36. We're not certain.
Both teams off the sluggish starts here to start this period.
And here is the aforementioned Vlade Divac, who is seeing more time and is 3 of 5 with 8 points. He and Bibby share king-high honors.
He's such an emotional part of this team. He's the leader in that locker room. Mike Bibby, to me, is the guy who makes them go on the floor, but such respect for Vlade from his teammates.
Hassel and Christie with the later arriving defensive stand on Hassel, who continues just to shoot the ball so well in the postseason. He's about 9 points over his regular season average in scoring in this playoffs this year.
Kevin, he knows he's getting the shots because they're rotating off him to try to cover up the other players. And he's worked very hard, and there's no hesitation in his shot.
Stojakovic to Webber, and back to Peja, who tonight is 2 of 9. Doug Christie. And a rebound by Kevin Garnett, who has his 9th with his 10 points. Cassell, wide open lane. Christie fell, and that opened it up.
Well, Doug Christie, remember, picked up 2 early fouls, so he's not guarding Cassell right now. That time he picked him up in the open floor. Dick Bavetta did not go for that little flop.
How do you like the Sprewell coverage on Bibby in the last 2 games? He almost had a steal right there. He kicked it.
Well, I like it because he's a bigger, stronger body, and when he gets screened, he keeps playing through the screens, and Mike Bibby knows he's coming.
That's a good point. Cheryl, what do you have?
It's interesting. Coach Saunders thought that his team played pretty well in the first half, did some positive things, and defensively was pretty solid. He said second half, obviously, this is a Sacramento team that can go on runs and drive Doug Christie possibly get a 3-point play, but he said this is a Sacramento team that can either go on runs and droughts. If they go on the runs, we have to find a way to contain them. If they have any droughts, we got to make some runs, guys.
Cassell picks up the foul.
Well, you know, Cheryl, the way you do that in a crowd like this with a team that goes on runs is you use your timeouts to be able to try to calm the crowd down, to get a play, to come out on the floor, get your team a basket, and you depend on your execution, and you try not to turn the ball over. And Minnesota's doing a nice job taking care of the ball tonight. They only have 3 turnovers.
Christie's on Sprewell. Johnson with a little screen and a rebound by the Kings, who are +9 in rebounding tonight. Knocked away by Kevin Garnett. And a foul.
Miscommunication there in the open court. Irvin Johnson, normally playing against Vlade Divac, did not get back. Kevin Garnett tried to get to him. This will be once again getting to that free throw line, Kevin, and Sacramento is doing a much better job getting there than Minnesota.
Divac tonight 2 of 3. Kings have taken 14 free throws, and the Timberwolves have taken 6. And Vlade at the strike. Wednesday night, Miami will take on Indiana. Sacramento against Minnesota. Those are on ESPN. Thursday night on ABC. It's Game 5 of LA and San Antonio. Of course, you'll see Game 4 tomorrow here on TNT.
I'd say for a young team, that Miami team has got a lot of heart. 17 straight wins now at home. They're struggling on the road in the playoffs, but at home they have been very, very tough.
40% shooting from the floor for Minnesota. Stojakovic sticking on Sprewell. Garnett to Cassell on a 3 for Sam. And over the backboard hit the clock. It's Sacramento's ball. Turnovers in this game. Minnesota's got 3 and Kings have 9.
And again, Kevin, Minnesota's a team that in the regular season, they were second in fewest turnovers.
Yeah.
They averaged under 13 turnovers, over 23 assists. They do a good job of moving the basketball, and they're a very good shooting team. And in the playoffs, they've turned it over uncharacteristically.
Kings are shooting 42%. Rebound by Sprewell. Trenton Hassel, he was free to fire.
Let's see, what happened is Stojakovic felt like he was knocked down on the shot, so they were playing 4-on-5 defensively. Hassel normally guarded by Stojakovic. Nobody picked him up.
Bibby is 3 of 5, and Weber is 2 of 7. And applying the defense right there. Hassel's watching Stojakovic on the baseline. 51 out, duck inside. Weber with Garnett slipping, and that gave him nothing in front to guard it. Again, he just hit from there. Christie late with the defense, and again he knocks it down.
It's like playing horse out there. There's nobody guarding him, but again, the commitment that Sacramento has made is to rotate up and take Garnett and Cassell out of the game, and he's the beneficiary.
Doug Christie. Doug Christie with Bobby Jackson gone is certainly now becoming the emotional leader of this team.
But Doug Christie very upset. He feel like he's been hit on the arm on every shot. He was barking at referee Jimmy Clark during that possession.
And Cassell being hounded and knocked away by Christie and Chris Webber at the other end.
Chris Webber almost could not get to that ball. They led him so much on that play. Chris Webber almost looked back and said, hey, that was 3 years ago I could run like that. Don't throw that pass so far.
Minnesota will take a timeout. The Kings tied with the Timberwolves at halftime. Have opened up a 4-point lead, and Doug Christie has a Kings high and a game high 12 points. He wears his emotions on his face and on his jersey, but he leads them emotionally in this series, which is tied at 1
points on 7 of 11 shooting. And I was just thinking about what John Paxson must be thinking. Fred Hoiberg, Trenton Hassel, about Elton Brand, Brad Miller, and Ron Artest. Those guys should all be Chicago Bulls right now. Can you imagine?
No, I can't. That is amazing. As Cassell slips it to the double team, Garnett, who looked one way and fed Urban Johnson the other. And Johnson now has 8 points, 2 rebounds. And he was fouled by Chris Webber on the play, who is tagged with his second.
Well, if you're going to foul, you got to foul him so he can't make the basket. This is one of those little touch fouls by Webber. And you got to make the foul. Urban Johnson's not a great free throw shooter, so you got to make him step up and make 2 free throws. Now he has the opportunity for the 3-point play.
So Urban Johnson with 9, a couple players with 10 lead the Wolves, Garnett and Hassel. And 12 by Christie is a game high. And here is that scoring leader, Doug Christie, looking inside for the double team. Webber back to Christie.
This guy is really shooting the ball well. He's made some big shots for them. Game 1, when they won on the road, he and Mike Bibby combined for 46 points. Christie, remember, hit the big 3 late in that game to sort of seal the deal.
Hassel, Latrell Sprewell. And Stojakovic late with his defense as Spree now has a Minnesota high 11.
I think Minnesota's whole thing is just stay close. If the game is close, we think we can beat you here in the 4th quarter.
Kings have hit 2 threes. Stojakovic launching one right now, and so 2 of 9. The Kings are above the arc. Minnesota is 4 of 12.
Stojakovic 2 of 11 for the game, now 1 of 6 at the 3-point line. He is not shooting the ball well at all in this series.
And here comes Hassel. He played at Austin Peay with Cassell trying to free himself from Bibby. Rebound by Webber. He's got 4 rebounds and 9 points, with Mike Bibby having 8 points and 6 assists the other way. And a foul is called inside, and down on all 4s was Latrell Sprewell. What did it mean, Doug, for the Timberwolves that it was not Kevin Garnett for Flip Saunders at the end of the game that won game 2, but rather it was somebody else grabbing the headlines. You always think about the MVP Garnett, but in that game it was Cassell in game 2.
Well, they brought Cassell in to make the big shots. Kevin Garnett does everything else. He rebounds, he defends, he assists. I think people expect him to score all the time. Christie once again spotting up. He's got the hot hand. But Kevin Garnett doesn't have to beat you necessarily with points. I mean, we saw Ben Wallace last night put on some kind of show with like 24 rebounds and 15 points. And without him, Larry Brown said Detroit would have lost by 50 last night.
It's Garnett with the double-double, 10 points and 10 rebounds against Devonts, and count it for 2 and a foul on Vlade Devonts, who has that look on his face. After the big ticket, the MVP takes it in and brings the Timberwolves to within 1.
Well, before that shot, he and Sprewell were combined 8 for 25, just hangs in the air, and the importance of having big hands. I've always said, Michael Jordan, one of the things he had those huge hands. He could hold that ball out in one hand, create space, and at the last moment go up and take that shot. You saw Garnett that time just hang in the air with one hand. It's 2 3-point plays now we've seen on touch fouls by the Kings.
Garnett 3 of 3 from the line and 19 of 21 in the series from the free throw line. Bibby casts the Weber. Garnett got in there with the block. He's now got 4. He's got 10 in the last 2 games. Sam Cassell. And there is Weber.
I think Bibby's got to start looking for a shot. He's looking to pass so much right now. Christie does have the hot hand.
And a rebound by Kevin Garnett, taken away by Doug Christie. He's got the momentum. Devonts back to Christie inside. But Garnett was there. Knocked away by Irvin Johnson. A deflection by Garnett with the shot clock resting at 10. Here's Bibby. He's only 3 of 6. Foul on Mike Bibby.
Sprewell's done a nice job. He's kept his body in front of him. Kevin, we talked about he's a bigger player that he has to shoot over. And more importantly, when he gets screened, he doesn't stop playing. Very difficult to play screen roll with Kevin Garnett. This is Mike Bibby's 3rd foul. But Garnett is so good at playing the screen roll. You saw Sprewell jump to the one side. And right now he's done a nice job of keeping Mike Bibby in front of him and not letting him break down the defense.
And you talk about that adjustment from game 1 to game 2 as Sprewell gives you, as you mentioned, that extra length. And then you were telling before, when they switch then, he still has a big body on him.
Well, what happens if they want to switch the screen roll, Garnett can jump out and play him, and Sprewell's big enough to slide down there in front of one of the bigger players. So, it's helped them either if they want to switch or if they want to trap the pick and roll.
Good numbers on the big 3 for each team tonight. Here's Irvin Johnson to Kevin Garnett with 13 points. Trenton Hassel has 10. Known for his defense, but he's been very offensive-minded in this series. Miller's in the game for Sacramento. It's Sprewell. Good fake on Stojakovic with a jab and a drop. Kevin Garnett. And the Timberwolves by 2. They've led by 8.
Poise right now. Sacramento getting a little bit rattled here. A couple bad calls. Let's see Garnett jumping out. Pick up the foul against Bibby. But this is where you have to show poise. The offensive rebound. Sprewell looks like he's trying to guide this shot. That's that little medium range shot. But Garnett just cleans up the offensive rebound. Rick Adams was saying, look, we got to get up on these offensive boards, get on these defensive backboards. We can't give up second shots.
Well, we got a story now because Garnett's got 4 fouls as the Kings fans have thrown things on the floor. For the second time tonight, I might add. And Gary Trent comes in the game with Hoiberg from Minnesota.
I've been here a lot. This is a crowd that's very loud. I've never really seen this crowd throw things on the floor like this. It's a very, very good crowd, very noisy, but all it takes is one person up there with too much to drink to throw something out on the court that ruins it for everybody. Let's write this down, Kevin. 3:47 to go. Minnesota with a 2-point lead. Can they hang tough? You got Garnett on the bench with fouls, and you're resting Sam Cassell right now. Can Sacramento make a push?
There's Cassell. He is 4 of 14 with 9 points. Free throw shooting tonight, and that was an interesting facet because of the great number of attempts that the Kings are putting over the Timberwolves. Tonight they're +8 with the series +30 in terms of free throw attempts. A wide open Weber, Johnson late. And Stojakovic had it taken away by Hassel of Minnesota with 3.5 to play in the 3rd. And Bibby guarding him, and not very well.
Sprewell really is looking to shoot the ball tonight. That's 16 attempts already. We just passed the midway point of the third period.
It's Bibby, and Christie's got the hot hand, especially here in the third, and Mike Bibby screwed on the defense. Hoiberg with the rebound. By the way, one more note on Garnett. He is the only player in the game with 4 fouls right now. Hoiberg, another 3 by Fred Hoiberg, who comes off the bench tonight, and he has gone 3 of 4 from above the arc as Weber drives, and Hoiberg hits the deck as Minnesota is riding a 10-0 run.
Boy, Freddie Hoiberg, how impressive is he? You give him an open shot, he's knocking him down. The most important thing, his team has such confidence in him right now. When you can bring a guy like that in who hits the shot and plays defense, what a weapon.